What is up, guys? I'm NYC Anime Nerd, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, The Broker and Nerdtaku. It is break week today, so we are talking about hockey and maybe some God Valley. How's your guys' week been so far?
Great, thanks, especially after today. Go Spurs.
Yep, go Spurs! Not the basketball team, you Americans. What about you,
My
Taku?
week has been way too long. It's been from
It's
last
Wednesday.
week.
It's Wednesday.
It's yeah, but I've been working every day, even over the weekend. So I still haven't had a day off. And I think today's my 10th day straight
When
or
are you?
something, or 9th day.
When are you off next?
Friday, thank God.
That's not
That's
bad.
why yeah. So you almost got it. You're almost there.
Yeah, I have a 4-day weekend coming up and a lot
Nice.
of stuff to do. I also received my One Piece Wonderfold in today, so
That's good.
Did you?
I did.
I have you guys have seen the spread for the Shonen Jump that's coming out, the color spread
No.
No, I did not.
and the cover. Oh, Oda designed the cover. It says Sea Freaks, and they're all sitting there like tatted up, like throwing up gang signs. It's so dope. It's
Oh,
so
word?
dope. They're all tatted up. They're wearing like red pants. They got like leather coats on. Frankie's rocking a fedora, of course, but it's super cool. It's something that I want to get to frame. It looks that dope.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So guys, it is
Yeah.
break week today. We are going to talk, like I said, about hockey in God Valley, depending on time. My starting question for you guys today: what backstory hit you harder, uh, Brooks or Kuma's?
Brooks, personally. Sorry. The opposite. Sorry, Kuma's. I don't understand why you'd even compare the two. It's like surely it's Kuma all the way with those two. I thought you were going to say Kuma or Robin.
No.
Oh, Kuma all
I
the way.
mean,
There's a reason why I'm trying to keep it Brooke.
Fair enough.
so I think that if we get more information, Brooks will probably hit pretty hard. But as it stands, don't get me wrong. I like when we get his backstory at the end of Thriller Bark when he's playing the piano and he's like watching his people die. Super tragic.
Yes.
But I just don't think that you can hold a candle to Kuma's after, especially consider even reading it, I was tearing up. And so when I watch it, it's probably gonna destroy me.
Yeah, especially as you've got a baby on the way, so
I know
it's going to hit even
definitely
harder. Believe me.
Them
Yeah.
celestial dragons better not come around you.
Listen,
It's hoodie.
they won't survive very long.
I'm trained in a special variety of tech. Yeah, so I just so what I like, I'm a really big animal person, and so obviously Kuma's hit me very emotional, but the uh the relationship that Brooke had with the whale is really personal to me because my dog she changed my life and got me through times, and I don't think that I've ever had love for someone that I do my dog. I didn't know that I could love something like that, you know? And so it'll happen. I'm sure Broker can attest for this. I don't have a kid, but when you have your kid, I'm sure you'll have this love
Yep.
for her that you can't explain.
Yep.
And that's how I
Yeah.
feel for my dog, you know? And so, I mean, obviously Kumas can relate to that, but obviously chronologically we saw Brooks first, and that's what I went through with Brooks. And it just does it take away what if it was Brooks' son instead of an animal? Do you think that changes?
Yes.
Do you think that people don't feel the same type of emotional attachment to it because of the subject matter?
100%. That's why we eat burgers.
Yeah, I think that if it was Brooke's son, it would be a little bit different.
A different.
Just because it would add like another layer. Like I feel like Laboon, like yes, okay, like they had this relationship with Laboon. Like he promised Laboon he would come back, but we didn't sit with that long enough, I think, for it to have as big of an emotional impact as I would have liked. Like if they would have traveled with Laboon longer than they did, or maybe like if they were the reason why he got separated from like his pack and stuff like that, like I feel like that
that would add more. Yes, definitely.
yeah, I think it would hit a little bit harder because then it would be like, oh, okay, so like Laboon got separated because of them, and they always promised that they would come back and bring him back to his herd or whatever. Like that to me would have been like, oh, damn, that's like a deep level of like they felt bad because they accidentally caught.
Yeah, it's responsibility.
Yeah. And so like I think
that's why the Bonnie one hits hard, because parents have a responsibility to their children that you don't have a choice.
And what's even crazier is it's like one of those things where like Kuma, even though Bonnie isn't technically his, spoilers by the way, but like I kind of dropped that a little late, but even though Bonnie isn't his, it's the woman that he loves, kid, and so he treats it as such. Like he acts better than pretty much every father in One Piece.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I am losing my shit. I just put up a post on Instagram, and you know how like after you send it, it goes to the main screen. I just saw the spoiler for the chapter this week. Holy fuck.
Keep it to yourself.
I'm going to, but I am so pissed and so happy.
All in the same breath.
Yeah. All right, sorry, go back.
Oh, but it's like it's that One Piece, like this guy didn't it's like Zeph, it's like all these other ones, but like turned up to like 5,000 because like it's the found family, it's the I took care of a kid that wasn't mine, but it's like he treated Bonnie the way that people would kill to have their parents, even in our world, treat them.
Exactly.
Valid. Very, very valid. I just I was just curious about how you guys saw. I was trying, so like I know I said the whale, but it was because, do you guys know what Labubus are? I was gonna say Labubu, and I was like, that's not the name. That's not the name. They're like these little. Really? Oh my god! They're like these little. They look like Furbies almost, and they were doing really bad. But then Lisa from Blackpink was doing like a solo leveling thing and wore one. Like you wear them. One Piece has a deal with them. Like they've got straw hat clothing you can put them in. Oh, he's grabbing his phone.
Now I need to look.
And I was gonna say Labubu and Brooke. Yo, Labubu, sponsor the stream. Holler, we're good people. But yeah, they're super cute and they're super collectible now. The company was failing, and then she had one like on her jeans, and they're huge. They look like little Beanie Babies almost with clothes, but like rabbits.
Oh yeah. I know these.
Probably now. Yeah, so there's One Piece clothing for them.
They look like Teletubbies.
Yeah, you're like ordering now. Yeah, and so I was gonna say Labubu, and so that's why I said the whale, and because I was like, I'm not falling into this trap.
Oh yeah. So I follow this girl on TikTok, and this is her first read through of One Piece. Her husband got her into it, and she bought the full set. And there's like a display case as well that you can get for all the Straw Hats. Yeah. So I saw her open them. There's also a rare Gear 5 one.
Is there? That I didn't know. Sorry guys, I just was a little late to move back a little or click on it.
Wait, hold on. There we go.
Oh, I see it. Dope. Oh my god.
It's hard hard to see because my camera isn't well because my screen's probably too bright.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a really cool Gear 5 one.
I did not know that. Yeah, but they're there for sure. Yeah, but I was just gonna call him Laboon. So quickly before we jump into that, obviously the anime this week. If you thought it was about God Valley, it was more about Kuma, and you probably have more questions about God Valley than you had before. Even if you do read it and are further ahead, you probably have more questions. So, overall, did you like the episode, Taku?
I thought it was really good. It was. I will say, them getting the later time slot, I think made all the difference, especially with Kuma's backstory, because they
100%.
were able to get a lot more graphic with it.
They had to do the same.
Um,
They did the exact same thing with Marineford, if you remember.
You know what?
Marineford is remembered.
No, so
Yeah.
I'm saying they did Marineford, the 2 episodes where Ace and Whitebeard both died. Those episodes
What?
were at a later time
They
slot.
died? They died?
Shut up.
Nobody dies in One Piece. What?
Yes. Dude,
That's true.
one live in peace.
Yeah. No, but I really like the way they did a lot of the stuff that they did. But it sucks, but is also better in some capacities. Like there are some episodes where I feel like, man, this is dragging. But like lately,
Yes.
I want to say like the last like 4 episodes have been just 1 chapter per episode, but
Which
yet
is insane.
they feel like they've elaborated more on the things that actually matter, and without like diluting the source material, but like making it more interesting. Like I feel like there was a ton of filler in the episodes where it was just like, they're fighting and it's like 20 minutes where it looks like they're just running at each other, and then you're getting flashbacks of why this fight that's about to happen is meaningful, and it's like, oh my god, can we just watch them clash? But like this feels like the perfect way to do filler by not like ruining it. I don't know how to describe it, but it's better.
Don't subtract.
Well, it doesn't feel like filler. It just feels like a needed flashback to me.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't feel like filler. It feels like there's still an objective out of this. This information is useful. It's not like it's not like screen lock PNG. I love how they animated like Kuma's dad. I'm gonna just say Nika dancing. Like that was so beautiful. I love the animation that they split to when they were dragging Kuma away. The people that caught him. If you notice, it went to that like really thick outline and not many lines on the inside of the images. And it was just kind of this like really cool animation style that was different. And I'm super excited for that.
What did you think about the neck chain being way too big for Kuma's father's head, so that it's like he was wearing it on purpose, that explosive chain. Like he could have taken that off any time.
You're missing the point, Broker.
No, what's really funny is what was obviously an artistic choice that no one even thought twice about. People are doing these entire Reddit posts about, it's to show that Kuma's father wasn't just a prisoner, he was a prisoner of his own mind. He could have taken off his explosive collar whenever he wanted and just left. And it's like, no, it's not that deep. Just shut up.
You can't take off a bullet to the head. Tell you that much.
Odin did pretty well.
Yeah.
I also really like when they were like doing like the the like really like rough sketchy looking thing where they showed like Kuma kind of like doing the dance for
Kuma, not Kuma's dad, excuse me. Yeah. So, doing the Nika dance.
Yeah, it was like almost like they were flashing between the two. Like just to like show, and then like you got to see Bonnie, but she was like her face wasn't shown.
Yeah.
and like, so I really kind of like that. I thought it was, again, really interesting.
Mm.
But I don't know. I like
I
the
think,
episode. I thought it
yeah.
was, I thought it was good.
So, last thing before we head into the Haki and God Valley part. So what I was really liked about the rough sketch of it, I think what's really interesting about like art like that is that, and not showing her face, is it feels like it could be. I'm sure we can all,
Yeah,
you
that.
know,
I assume that was the purpose
yeah,
behind it.
exactly. But not everybody's thinking about it analytically. Not everybody's. Some people literally just watch One Piece and they're like, okay, they're like
Yeah.
18.22 minutes is done. Time to go back to something else. So like we think about One Piece. This is a lifestyle choice, Mom.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
won't grow
guys.
out of it.
Yeah. So guys, if I haven't yet, you're really effed. Guys,
I
so
know.
we are gonna hop into hockey, kind of based, and God Valley, kind of based off our talks last week. Nerdtaku has a great way of explaining or how he likes to see it, and I think it's a really good visual for people's minds. So please take it away.
Okay, so I very much like to consider hockey to be like a skill tree, almost like, any RPG that you've ever played. You have your three main skills, right? Of armament, observation, conquerors, and then like most things, there's levels to it. So when I think of armament, and like some people really have like, I don't even know if it's ever really stated per se. Um, but like people have this predisposition to how they think hockey works. And so like this is just my take on it, and you can have your opinion because Oda has never really drawn a diagram. Like one thing that I kind of like about Naruto in that way is he's drawn so many diagrams on how chakra, where it comes from, what type of energy it flows out of, and things like that. And Oda has never really given us that. So I see it as like you have your armament, all right, and there's like base armament, and that just basically is like an invisible coating in which you put on your hand. Now this doesn't have to coincide with like armament hardening, because I feel like the black coating that we see that Luffy gets is actually a level up from just base. So then from there, level 2 is there is a further hardening of armament. And then once you get into level 3, it branches into two distinct different ways of how you can utilize your armament. And that would be an outward emission and an inward emission. When it comes to outward emission, it's what we see Sentomaru use, or the admirals in Marineford. When we see Whitebeard send a quake to the admirals, they all just stand there, put their hands out, and they stop it with like an invisible barrier, basically. And so that to me is the outward emission. Inward emission is when you're fighting someone and you're not hitting them, but you're forcing your armament inside of them, basically, to do internal destruction to their organs or whatever body part you are hitting. And then for my final level of armament, I have, this is just me again, is the breath of all things. It basically is a way in which you can use your armament, but it will only hurt the thing that you are targeting. And a lot of people will probably give me some kickback on that, just because the last time we saw the breath of all things, it was in Alabasta, which is when Zoro used it to cut Mr. One, which people are probably going to be like, well, wow, so Zoro mastered the level that it takes then. Well, yeah, he cut someone who was made out of something stronger than his actual blades. He should have never been able to cut Mr. One if he had no haki whatsoever. So that is why I think
just
that
a little bit of pushback on that quickly. There are numerous times before this in the manga, Zoro was shown cutting steel multiple times. He cuts an entire 3, I think it is altogether, cannons, metal cannons in half, cuts them into pieces, and he cuts multiple people's blades, like chops them into pieces and stuff like that. So he does do it before that many times.
I think he's talking, maybe I'm wrong, but he's talking about somebody with a, that has a will. It's not just steel, as in like a can.
Oh, sorry. He said it's something harder than his blade. I was just
Mr. One.
Well, you're right, but like what was Mr. One? He said that he's like made out of something like I forget what he said. He said that he's steel,
just a steel, yeah.
But yeah, basically he's Lady Deathstrike. No, but so he was able to finally cut something, but when he showcased it, it was when he put his blade into the leaves and swung across it and didn't cut them because he chose not to, but then brought it back when he chose to and was able to cut it perfectly. So like I think that is like such in tunement with your haki that it has to be at such a high level that Zoro was able to understand that and put something into that. Like he was able to utilize haki at the highest level when he truly focused. He was on the brink of death while doing it too. So
I've got a question for you. So do you think that, where do you place him then versus now on, like, if he's using such high haki, was it I don't want to say the word fluke, but like accidental usage then compared to now where he's the king of hell and has control over it? Or where, like, how big of a difference would you say in his
the way I see the breath of all things is it is almost like a hockey skill. It was a skill that he mastered probably more so, or at least learned kind of from the dojo where he grew up, and probably the dojo master, because his dojo master also seemed like he was very well versed in the blade, obviously, and was probably teaching his students that as a basic fundamental, but none of them were able to utilize it in that way. And that's when Zoro realized.
That's confirmed already, because that's the flashback Zoro has in his head when he's while he's doing the breath of all things sort of attack. He thinks back to his master explaining the concept to him.
Yeah, but it was just like it was something he was never able to utilize, and probably a lot of people can't utilize it. And so having that flashback and kind of remembering back, I think he was able to use it in that way. And I think that it's not just something that is like used in blades. I think that it's something that anyone can use, even with fists. That's why, like, sure, maybe we can talk about how Garp, is able to hit Luffy, and we've always just chalked it up to haki, but it's also possible that it was the breath of all things, and he was like, oh, I want to hurt Luffy, I just don't want to like kill him, so I'm not gonna like use crazy armament on him, like I'm just gonna hit him where I think it hurts type thing. So then when we go to observation as our next skill, you have base level observation, which basically is just you being able to sense presences. And then from there, I think that it goes up to an even higher skill where you can perceive people in an area. Like, how when we see Fujitora, he's blind, but he's able to basically see the rough outlines of people when all the people are running past him, in the end of Dressrosa, he's able to basically have their figures and sees them all in that way. And that's why, that's part of where I think that that's where Usopp is in observation, is because when he was looking at Luffy and Law about to get turned into the dolls, he was like, I can't see them. And then he saw them as dots, and then they formed into outlines. So he was able to basically see, like, he was able to channel his observation haki out to the distance,
Well,
but you can also use it in like an area of effect type thing around you.
Yeah.
So I think that there's two levels to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with him, like it's like he's farsighted, you know, like
Yes.
he literally can like, and it plays into a sniper perfectly, right? Like, but it's
Yeah.
like we've really only seen him use it at a distance, right? And maybe I'm wrong, but as I recall, he's the only like not only farsighted, but the only one that only can use it in farsighted. Like,
Yeah. I don't think like, and again, like, yes, it is a skill tree, but I don't think that it's complete. Like, I think the usual progression of things is
yes.
to be able to use them in concurrence.
Yeah.
But
Just
it's like,
remember as well, he was able to see the, like, through observations, obviously what I interpret as same
All
as
right,
you.
thank you, bro.
He was also able to see the pirates, the ones that were out miles out at sea, and drop all the boulders and debris on them. So he was able to use it at range as well, not just up close.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're saying that he has only basically shown that he can see at range,
like
not
far
at close.
No. He sees the people right next to him as well. We're talking about Fujitora, right?
No. We're talking about Usopp.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was still Fujitora. Apologies.
No. So
I was going to say, I was so confused.
No. He Fujitora has great observation.
Yeah.
But
he reminds me of the girl from Avatar with that. Like how she senses it like through the ground.
Yeah, how she sees it through the ground. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Toph is the shit.
I know you.
But anyway, so then the level past that, the level 2 that I would say is observation, is future sight. And so that obviously we've seen it showcased. Katakuri, Luffy, Kaido, like Rayleigh, all of those people, and arguably the admirals as well, use future sight. And so I think that's your like level 2 basically. And then the level past that, I believe, is the voice of all things. And a lot of people kind of get caught up and they say, well, like the voice of all things is more or less a technique or something that you inherit. And like, again, I've never been with like the thought process of like you only can get certain levels of haki through your lineage. I've always been a fan of, no matter who you are, if you train it or if you do the things, haki blooms in adversity.
With the exception of conquerors, unfortunately. This is what we were saying last week. This is why I don't like it. I dislike adamantly the idea there are some things that you are just born into.
Yeah. And I disagree with it. I think that Conquerors is like I don't know. It's almost like the X gene, some people unlock it, some people don't, and things like that. And again, that is like my whole thought process with all hockeys.
So
like
I dislike the idea of haki full stop. I think it was a silly addition at a ridiculous time in the story. Here's us about to be the end of the where it's the end of the time skip, pre-time skip era, and you're only just introducing it now. What, 520 chapters in or something ridiculous? It just bugs me because it's like up till then, yeah. Let's talk about the main thing Haki is used for, which is overcoming devil fruit abilities. That was its necessity in the story, right? Up to that point, why are there so many people that just don't know how to use it? My biggest gripe is CP9. CP9 are assassins. They kill people for a living. That's their job. And yet, a massive chunk of people out there with devil fruit powers, there's nothing they can do. Nothing. That they're just gonna, you're poking a sharp stick at something that doesn't feel it. It's completely arbitrary.
See, here's the thing though, like, and I know that people on
I
like
love
TOPT like disagree with this, but I think the six powers are basically offshoots of Haki
So no, so
in one
this
sense.
is my thing. So my thing is that I think that in the story, the best place to introduce Haki is by having armament Haki and observation just be extra ones of the six powers. It's not written anywhere that it needs to be six, right? It could have been called the 8 powers, and you just add them on, or you take away ones like Iron Body, yeah. Iron Body, you can just replace and say, oh, this is an ability called Haki, but the CP9 members call it Iron Body, the same way that the Skypeans called Observation
Mantra.
And then
But-
you have that. Luffy then fights and tries, because remember, we still have no idea really why when Rob Lucci hits Luffy in what do you call it, in what's his name? The guy they try to assassinate. Iceberg's compound. Why does it hit Luffy? Why does he take damage? Never explained. It's just there to show that Rob Lucci is strong, right? You could have had it instead. So save the transformation for later, like when we actually get to Eni's lobby. So up to this point, we don't know that Rob Lucci is a Zoan user. All we see is Rob Lucci do one singular punch on Luffy, and then we see the Straw Hats cut away. And it's like, Luffy, what's wrong? And Luffy's head is bleeding, like he's like taken an actual punch for the first time in the story. And then we can do like the explanation as to why are these people able to do it? Why isn't Luffy made of rubber when they hit him? Why are they so much harder to damage than normal humans? All of that gets explained later in the story. But then when we finally beat them, get to the end, and then we see Garp also able to use this ability, it's a wake-up call, because every Straw Hat is there at that moment. They all see it and go, oh, okay, wait. It's not just these rare people in the Marines that were able to do it. Strong people are obviously going to be, other strong people can use this ability that bypasses Luffy's, what is basically has been his invulnerability booster up to that point. Luffy has not had to worry about taking bludgeoning damage, only cuts and stuff like that up to that point. But now that's no longer the case. Their captain is no longer as indestructible as he first thought. That's a huge wake-up call. Huge.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Eni's lobby would have been a great place to like even just announce the word Haki or anything like that. Like just to be like, what do you mean you're utilizing Haki or something like that? And that to me would have been interesting enough, because then we would have gotten more information about why Rob Lucci and them can do the things they do. Have it that like when they do Skywalk, it's just them using like a form of outward emission from their feet to push off of the air, like things like that. Like there's so many easy ways to do that. And I agree, Broker, don't get me wrong, but what we got is what we got.
Yeah, exactly.
I personally prefer the times when, in order to defeat a devil fruit user, you weren't just strong, you had to be clever. Like if you want, like the way that Luffy defeated Crocodile, that's never been done since. Never, and it never will be, because it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's all completely pointless. Either you have Haki or you die. That's it. There's no middle ground anymore.
I don't believe that that's necessarily true, but I believe that it definitely took...
Tell me a non-Haki user that you would put in the top 100 people in One Piece as fighters with no Haki at all.
No Haki at all.
Inu, we don't know.
No. Ones that we know. Ones that we know whether they do or don't. So it has to be a yes or no, do they? Not an I don't know. There aren't.
But that's also because like I couldn't say one, not for the fact that there isn't one, but because the 100 strongest users in One Piece that I'd go with all have haki.
Okay, strongest 200 then.
No, that's not the point. That's it. The point is that generally everyone that is the strongest, I would say, has some form of haki.
Yeah, you need it to be in that category. You need those things. It is a necessary skill. Necessary.
Listen, as much as I hate him, I'd say probably Kid. He has it. He just doesn't ever use it. So basically, he doesn't have it.
But he still has it. He has access to it if he absolutely needed to.
But everyone
But
kind of
it's
has
not-
access to it.
No. They might have access to learn it. I'm saying, can you turn it on or off? As in, like, can you, in that moment when there's like the way I like looking at haki is
Eustace can't turn the smoke off.
It's the defensive side of it, which is shown so rarely, right? You can use it to make your own body harder to stop attacks. How many people are stopping a bullet to the head without haki? None of them. You're dead.
Yeah.
Look how strong Odin was. Odin didn't stop a bullet to the head.
You know, I would have argued Blackbeard had it been pre-Amazon Lily invasion. But
Yeah.
no, I get you. I just think that the show's about willpower. It makes sense that the power system also falls in line, but I do agree. They should have introduced it much sooner. I think with most things.
Do you think there's a meter? Do you think there's like so using an RPG like mana, yeah, like it runs out, yeah? Do you think there is that, but also for no? I know there is for armor and haki, like we saw at Dressrosa.
Wait, broker. Can you clarify? Can you clarify when you say run out? Do you mean like over an elapsed time, or do you mean for good?
So no. I mean over an elapsed time. So like like mana in RPGs, it replenishes over time. I'm saying that we know it does for armor and haki, like with the Luthia Dressrosa, but does it also have the same thing for observation haki? Can you run out of observation?
How long can you stare at something without blinking?
Well, yes, but like, do you see what I mean? I'm just wondering if you think there is also a resource pool for observation as well, and conquerors. I
do.
Do you think it's all the same resource pool?
No.
I think it's three different.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
This is my thing. We call them all haki. Yeah, so we call them all haki. They have nothing to do with each other. Nothing at all. They're just called haki. They have no similarities or anything whatsoever.
Well, I think they all here's how I think. So like there's 3 pools, right, for your 3 different types of haki. But just like this, I think that it comes from a main source, right? So like this is your willpower, and it fills these 3 things up.
So in that case, let's say you use up all of your armament haki pool, yeah, and then you really reached deep and went to the pool below that, used all of that up to power your armament. Can you now use observation and conquerors, or is that mana pool taken as well?
I don't think the mana would empty itself. And
then it's not a mana pool. If it's limitless, it's not a pool.
No. I'm not saying it's limitless, but like if you did it like how he showed, like his fist and 3 fingers, it's bigger on the bottom. So to fill that up, it's not going to take the whole resource.
No. I'm saying imagine a scenario where Luffy had to use all that resource. Like he's fighting for his life to save someone he loves, etc. So the reason I ask is because if they do share a mana pool of any kind, then it means you have to be way more cagey about how you fight.
So here's the thing. I think that it would basically be like, imagine 3 glasses of water, right? One of them's armament, one's observation or whatever. But then you have a pitcher as well. Yeah. So if you use all of the water that is in armament, you may be able to dig deep with your will and use that pitcher to fill armament. But once you run out of the water that is in the pitcher and the armament, you can still use the water that's still left in the observation or the conquerors. But once you run out of those, then it's done.
There you
Yes.
go. Right, that's fine. That's all I meant. So again, technically, yes, they do share a mana pool. That's all I meant. I'm just saying it because we've never been shown any like conquerors or observation to run out the same way Armun actually clearly does and is stated to. It just to me it just gives more pause towards the idea that they are not in. You might call them, Haki, but they don't have anything to do with each other. It's like, so all of the different things that you can use to change your body in Dragon Ball, they're all transformations. They're not all Super Saiyan.
Yeah. I think that the problem is like, so the only time we've ever seen an observation battle is Luffy and Katakuri. And I think that was probably the closest we've ever been to Luffy losing his pool. But at the same time, though, he also had a moment where he left and then like recharged for 10 minutes and then came back. So like
exactly.
And I don't think I think you
Same
can
with all
use
of Luffy's fights.
Yeah, I think you can use observation and conquers more sparingly. And armament is probably the one that is the hardest to maintain because you have to maintain it for so long.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with all of that. But as we're going to get further into the story, you're going to have to be using observation at all times. The entire duration of that fight, because you hesitate for 1 second and they can see a second further ahead than you, you're dead. You die.
Well, that's actually very interesting that you say that. So let's continue with this because I have some extra thoughts on that as well. So you have your level 2, it's future sight, right? Then you have your voice of all things, which I believe is something.
Did you say future sight is level 2?
Yes.
So do you think all of the Skypians were using level 2 observation then?
No, only the one girl. What was her name?
Anis, or whatever it was.
Anis.
Anyway, my point
however
is
it's pronounced.
No, my point is that all of the priests and Enel himself, they all see that I've had this argument with so many people. If you can see what somebody is about to do next, you're seeing what they do in the future. Therefore, it is future sight. It is sight based on a future occurrence. The priests say, "Oh, a left kick, a punch from above. He's going to inflate." They say that to Luffy the whole fight. That's again, it's just been bastardized. The idea of, well, actually, that ability is really overpowered. So that's actually now reserved for very, very few people that can use it. It's just watering it down. It is future sight by any metric.
So I do agree with you. I think that they had very low level future sight, probably only seconds.
Yeah, but it's still future. That's all I wanted to clarify is that they are using future sight.
So I think
there's a range.
Enel, I also think Enel wasn't using future sight. So I think that his priests were like a slight bit ahead of them, and I will tell you why in a second.
Go for it.
The reason why Enel is so different and was able to see everything as well as it basically boosted his observation was because of his devil fruit.
Yes.
He was able to feel the electricity within someone's body and like their brain firing synapses, and was able to utilize that to realize when they were moving, what they were moving. So that's why, and the reason why I think that his priests had better observation is because they actually fought. Enel has never fought anybody a day in his life. He murdered everyone on Burka with his fucking power, and he didn't have a single person that stepped to him. So his observation didn't bloom like theirs did. When people came up to Skypiea, exactly. When people came up to Skypiea, who was taking them on? The 4 priests. He had no reason for his observation to grow in the slightest, but they were specialists in it because they were using it when they were fighting these people. And as we know, Haki blooms in adversity.
I have an extended question then.
Go ahead.
Do you think Emu will be strong then?
So
Never had to
I
fight in their
do.
life. They're a leader of somebody. I'm saying it's that you're using the same criteria for a Nell and saying, oh, these sort of people aren't strong. They don't train things because they've got people to do their dirty work for them. Who has more people to do their dirty work than
Well,
Emu?
so I
Okay.
personally think Emu they might not be physically strong, but their powers will be strong, hockey related or not hockey related.
Okay, so yeah, I'm only talking about Haki here. If they've got a powerful devil fruit the same way a Nell does,
I don't think
that's completely. I'm saying that's a separate thing. I'm saying their non-devil fruit abilities, will they be strong?
I don't think it's. What if I don't think it's a devil fruit? What if I think it's just like contracts that they make? You know.
Oh no, yeah, we've already talked about that. That's what I think the mythical Zoan power of their devil fruit is.
So here's what I will say about them. I think that Emu is strong, and I think that they do have good hockey. And the reason why I think that is because they had to go through adversity. They didn't start at the top. They started at the bottom.
We know of. No, we don't know that. No, there's no proof to that whatsoever. I'm not saying you couldn't be right. I'm not saying you can't be right. I'm saying as of this moment, there is no evidence to show that Emu hasn't always been at the top echelon of people. No evidence whatsoever. We've never been shown a backstory, like they were in poverty or they were on the streets begging. We've been shown nothing like that. For all we know,
if it's Lily, then we do know some of the backstory, though.
No.
But
she was a queen. She was a queen. She wasn't a commoner.
So you don't think that like queens and kings can face adversity?
No, I don't. By definition, they don't. They are protected from adversity. We have a royal family. They are protected from adversity. Believe me, the things Harry did when he was a kid. My goodness.
But even still, so like here's how this is my theorization of who Emu is.
Go for it.
And this is why I think they're strong. I think that they didn't start at the top. I think that they clawed their way to the top. And I think that that's the reason why they got strong. And I think that they've been around long enough that they've gone through those adversities. They've survived through the first world destroying and the second world destroying and all that other stuff. Like they had to fight in those things. Just because the last 800 years that we may have on the books, they haven't really had to do anything, doesn't mean that they didn't go through adversity. That's quite a long
time for your muscles to get weak.
But think about it. Your hockey doesn't need to get weak if your body doesn't.
Oh, okay,
if
fine.
Your will can stay strong.
Okay, fine.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
It's important. Why do you think Crocodile didn't have hockey then?
That's the thing. So I think that. Okay, so I think Crocodile did have hockey. Again, we don't really see hockey pre-skip.
But Moria. So we know Moria fought with Kaido. Do you think Moria had hockey when they fought Kaido?
I got you, girl. I do. And the reason being is it is about will. And Moria had his will broken.
Okay.
And that is why he wasn't strong anymore. And he got lazy in all sorts of factions.
Exactly. Yeah, he got lazy. He got
when he had watched his whole crew get murdered by Kaido. Like, damn, that he had dreams of being Pirate King. And all of a sudden is some douchebag with a mustache came through and bashed his face in.
What you trying to say?
And then murdered his whole crew right in front of him. And
that
he
happens
was
to Luffy as well. As far as Luffy is aware, his crew are all dead at that point.
And what happened to him? The only thing that he had to go off of was the fact that all of a sudden he was in a new place and someone was tugging on his shit, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden he found out his brother was dying. Moria didn't have anybody else that he cared about besides his crew. Also, he just kind of gave up. He did. He gave up on his dream. We see so many times in One Piece that when people give up on their dreams and their wills to do the things that they set out to do, they turn.
That's
Like,
what I think happened to Crocodile. I think that he wanted to join Whitebeard. Whitebeard said no, fuck off, and then he lost his words. Like, well, fuck that then. If I can't work for the person I want to be Pirate King, I'll do it all my own.
or if they had the dream to be the Pirate King because they were the daughter of Gold D. Roger and they wanted to do something else, he had the will to still move on and try and take over a whole country. And on top of that,
never used any haki though.
Seek. Yeah, but that's Haki we haven't seen. He was able to hurt Luffy, and he was doing it with his devil fruit mostly, but we don't know that. We don't know if he would have just been like, hey, instead of using this sand, which I can obviously use to murder you, I'm going to just make a really solid punch and punch a rubber boy in the face.
Oh no,
it's like
he remember to damage Luffy, he turned his sand into blades, sables, Desert Espada. Those were the attack names. And it's like that's how he was said. Then why wouldn't you make it even more deadly by making your blade sharper and more durable?
But we don't know if he was using haki to make them sharper.
But you can't say just because. But I'm saying if rules for the conversation, surely we can't say just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it isn't real, because that's a logical fallacy.
But here's the thing, like, again, we'll never know because Oda never will go back and be like, these people were using haki. But even still, I mean, but won't. I mean, honestly, the SBS questions, the SBS questions are 90% bullshit. There should be real hard-hitting questions in there.
Agreed.
But again, maybe he didn't have the greatest of hakis, maybe he had very low level haki, but he wasn't destroyed the way that Moria was destroyed. It's way different that we know of.
Yeah, exactly.
From what we know, he did not. Whitebeard maybe scarring his face and not letting him on his crew didn't break, Crocodile, because still, regardless, there was one thing that he set out to do on the sea, and that was to become Pirate King. And we know that because of the cover story. Being a part of Whitebeard's crew was probably a stepping stone at best. So he didn't lose his dream. He didn't lose his will, but he may not have been able to utilize it. If for all I know, we could have gotten to that. What was that first level? That invisible, just kind of coding that was that like makes things a little bit harder, and you can maybe touch things that are intangible, but at the same time, like Luffy's not intangible. Maybe if it was a Logia on a Logia fight, we could see something like that.
He doesn't do it when he attacks anyone at Marineford. He doesn't. He's not using haki attacks, especially when he attacks Akainu twice. He's not using haki then. Akainu took no damage.
Well, again, that to me is just Akainu using Future Sight and moving his body out of the way.
Do you know what the idea of the magical apricorn is?
No.
It's story where you just because you start with a place where none of the abilities you're aware of later exist doesn't mean you could then use them to go back and retroactively fill in a hole. If you've misspelt apricorn, as apricorn, or missaid something, you can't just go back and go, actually, there was another species called this. Actually, I didn't make a mistake. There's just more stuff to come. That's retconning. That's retroactive continuity. I know manga and anime fans hate the word because they think it's blasphemous, but it is a retroactive continuity change. At that time, did Future Sight exist in the story? No. Then you can't say that's what it was at the time.
Well, then that's why Crocodile wasn't using haki, because it didn't exist in the story.
No. I know. But I'm saying that's my argument. I'm saying that none of the characters beforehand were using it, not because they shouldn't have been, but because it didn't exist as a concept. The very idea of it did not exist in Oda's mind. Otherwise, he would have included it.
We have to move on from this because like we still have
Yes.
conquerors to go over and stuff like that. But I will say I believe that Oda did have it as a concept. He didn't quite know that he was going to divide it into 3 categories, and he was probably testing the water with like the Rokushiki techniques. There's 6 powers and these other things like, first episode we see Shanks scare away a beast just by looking
Yeah.
at it and glaring at it. Like,
So what?
mantra
So
and all
what?
that other stuff. He just didn't have like conquerors, observation, and all these other things totally fleshed out in his mind.
Do you know
And
where that comes
so,
from? Do you know where it comes from? The Shanks staring at the sea beast.
I
That
mean,
is,
no.
it's the very first illustrated version of Tarzan. The first illustration,
Oh,
and it's been used so many times since then in so many different types of fiction where you see somebody up to that point that you do not see as a threat. Like up to that point, we don't see Shanks make an aggressive move. He lets people pour drink over him, laugh at him. He does nothing, and then suddenly he is so intimidating he can scare off a wild animal. Where does Haki come into that? Couldn't it just be that he was so threatening as a presence that he was able to scare off a wild animal? Did it have to be did it have to be something called Conqueror's Haki, or could it have just been that he's threatening?
it could be either, to be honest.
No.
Yeah.
But it could also be an extra ability that that hasn't been named yet. This is my thing. If you base something on probability instead of possibility, there's an endless number of things you could list. Endless.
But that's why we're theorizing.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, would you be okay if we find out there is another thing called a super devil fruit?
Sure.
Why?
It depends on how that was introduced.
Exactly.
It's the exact
Depends
same as
on
other.
abilities, how it
It's the
fits with the
exact.
story.
It's the exact same as other devil fruits, only it's super strong.
But we
Sure.
basically got that with God fruits.
Yeah.
No, but they still. Okay, sorry, I'll add to it. These ones don't have the same rules where like you can't be in water and stuff like that. They have no weaknesses.
I mean,
then
but
that's
Haki
how
would also
it's
negate it.
No. They're immune to Haki as well. They're immune to everything.
But that's
Listen,
way
if-
different.
that is-
No,
that is-
I'm set. What the reason I'm being intentionally ridiculous. I'm being intentionally ridiculous, saying that just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. If you use that as your basis, it means that the possibilities are endless. When it comes to rules in a story, you need to have concise rules, right?
Listen, I understand your love for the rules. I get it. But I think that going back and looking at the times where things have happened for certain reasons and understanding that there are hockeys that we now know exist, I don't think it's beyond the pale to look at these things and say, okay, this is where I think Haki was being utilized here. Like I said earlier with my whole thing with like the outward emission, when the admirals just put up their hands and stopped Whitebeard's attack, I don't think that was them just like all sneezing at the same time to stop it. I think that was them utilizing Haki in those instances. And like I said, we won't delve too deep into this, but I think that Haki is a good power system that was used as a great equalizer to the overpoweredness that devil fruits brought to the table. And so that is just what I think. And I don't think that they're terrible. I think that they just need to be more understood.
And that's why we wanted to talk about them. But just to be clear, Taku, I'm with you. I think that Shanks was using Haki, although it may have not been an idea yet. Like this is what it's going to be like. But like the thought of it was there. Broker, you don't think Shanks was using Haki?
No. I'm saying there's no. I'm saying there's no proof of it.
Don't worry about the proof. I just want to know yes or no. Do you think he was using it?
So, when I first read it, no, because it didn't exist. That was my
right now, 6:38, whatever time it is in fucking London, where you should be celebrating the Spurs.
Yes, but of course I do. But that's because it's been shown that it is now. But that's a retcon.
Okay, but that's not Dude.
By its
Okay,
very
I'm just
definition in
asking
the
you.
English
Listen,
language.
listen.
I said yes. I
Okay,
said yes.
so then-
Anyway, so let's continue. So again, we finished off our category as far as observation goes that we know of. So we got observation topped out at voice of all things. And again, I think that there's room for other things here and there. So then you have your conquerors. All right, your low level conquerors is just like what we witnessed at Marineford when Luffy was able to basically project his will out basically and knock people out. I think that's low level conquerors, base level stuff. Then I think there's like the level 2. And this is where I think me and Larry differentiate on our thoughts on conquerors. I think that there's like I think they call it leakage, where like you are using attacks, but you're leaking conquerors out and it's affecting the attack, so to say. Like similar to when Dofi and Luffy fight over Law. So Law is about to get stomped.
Yeah.
Luffy comes in and stops him, and then when they clash, they're both leaking conquerors out. Now, I don't think there's any form of coding going on at that moment. I think it's just basically strengthening the armament that they're kind of putting out because of the leakage of their conquerors. And then I think this is where Conqueror's coding becomes your like level 3 basically, where you can take your Conqueror's Haki and code it around your armament. And then so you can use Conqueror's coding just as is, but if you're able to use Ryo as well, you can combine the two almost as if the skill tree is basically like colliding at those moments of your armament and your level 2 armament, the inward emission, and also your conquerors. Then I believe there is a top skill that branches off, and I think that would be the command of all things. And that's when.
Do you think there's
Yes.
requirements for the command of all things? And guys, this is just him theorizing about what he thinks may be.
So I think so. I think this is the skill where it gets to the point where only certain people are able to utilize it, and it's the people that have the top tier wills. And this is the ability to take your conquerors and infuse it into someone, not for destruction.
I was about to ask, is this what you think the ability is being used on the God's Knights by like Scupper Gaban?
No.
Oh, that's lower. That's lower. So I'm saying
this is lower tier.
Cool. No, sorry. The one you're describing now, is that lower than the attack, or is that higher?
This is higher.
Oh, cool. Gotcha. I just wanted to double check.
So it's basically if I were to override your own will with mine, like basically pushing my will into you without destroying you, but to override yours and make you basically a pawn.
A good comparison then would be the spirit bending from Avatar.
Yeah, or like I've been rewatching the Avengers movies. It's like when they use the Loki's staff to turn people on his side.
Oh, you think it can literally be used to brainwash people?
Basically.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, interesting.
So
is this plays into your emu thing? Is this what you think? They are using.
Is that what Luffy's doing? Being reverse?
Okay, so it's fun.
Is it
Interesting
like,
that you say
is
that.
it like a yin and yang thing? Like there's a
You
little bit.
literally took the words out of my mouth. Are they using the same? Are they using the same ability, but one for good and one for evil?
Yes. So, like I said, it branches at the top, right?
Yeah.
So the command of all things is when you basically are able. I mean, just like it sounds. You command someone to obey, and they cannot
Through
resist.
fear, force. Yeah.
Yes, and through indomitable will,
Yeah.
basically brings you under tow. And then the other part of that, the second branch, is the freedom from all things. And that is what I believe that Luffy has. It's almost like someone who can't be contained, but their freedom emanates out from their conquerors, kind of like in a way where it guides people to them, because when they're around them, that is when they're the most free. And that is why I think Mihawk even commented on it in
Yes, at Marineford.
In Marineford, and we've seen all of the people that rally around Luffy, and I think it's because he's a conqueror, but he's not someone that will bring someone underneath them through
He says it
sheer
himself.
will.
He says it himself numerous times. He doesn't want to be king of anything.
Yes, he just wants to be free. And that's why I think that when Emu tries to use this command of all things with Luffy, he won't be able to,
Yeah, it will
because
backfire or fail in some way.
Well, so
exactly.
will it backfire, or is it a thing like I could see them negating each other? I've
I've got a great idea. So I can't go with yours, then I'll go.
No. Go ahead. Go. I was just
Okay,
saying, like,
so,
yin and yang.
imagine it like this. Imagine Luffy like standing in front of like the Gurusei, for example. Yeah, they both use that clash, and then just for a flicker of a second, the Gurusei members, even just one of them, like what's the young one called?
Killingham?
Mercury. I think no, the one with blonde hair.
Jupiter.
Yeah, I think he'll turn around and like tell Luffy something he needs to know. Like for that split second, he's no longer under Emu's control. He's got his free will back for the first time in 800 years, and he tells Luffy something that he needs in that exact moment, and then it gets instantly killed.
That'd be dope. Imagine
great.
all the black scarves turn white in that second.
Here's the thing. I think that now that we have this, like, basically this confirmation that these God Knights have this mark of the abyss, I think the Gorosei have it as well.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that is the point at which Emu touched them and inserted his will or her will into them, and that is like the site at where the conquerors was flowing from Emu into them, and that becomes like the binding seal in which they have to obey.
Broker, don't make any jokes, but like it's very reminiscent of like concentration camps. You know,
oh
like
God!
No. I'm being serious.
No,
like,
the fact that you felt the need to say the need to say, "Oh, Broga, no jumps." The Holocaust shows what you think of me.
No, I love you. I love you more than life.
It shows what we know of you.
Exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. Guys. No, but like we know that he pulls from historical events. We know there's a lot of connections, but it's like it's a very allies axis type of thing, you know, like people fighting for freedom.
It is. Yeah,
people fighting, you know, like there's a reason why like Straw Hats, like, you know, like it's bigger than anime and manga, you know, like, you know, like it pulls from history, it touches on history, and it's just like, you know, like the mark, it could easily be like, you know, tattoos on slaves, you know, and maybe the Holocaust wasn't good because they tattooed slaves throughout history, you know, like, but But yeah, it's just a really interesting piece you have there on it.
Agreed.
Yeah, and so the reason why I think that there has to be something with Emu where
Hang on,
he
back
or
a second.
she is able to um basically hold the position that they're in and have done so for centuries at
So
this point is because they always had control. And so like we know from our history and what Oda has seen of our history, usually dynasties and these empires and stuff like that, they don't last, right?
they can't.
they
Yeah,
they can't
somebody
because
had enough.
someone has to go. But yet you mean to tell me that this one figurehead was able to make sure that the world government lasted this long? It
And
it
not just lasted,
screams.
literally bend the knee to, you know,
Yeah.
like we're talking about the world government, the 20 kingdoms, all bending the knee. You know, this is not,
And
you know,
more kingdoms joining. Like
that's true.
like sure, we have our original 20 kingdoms, and that's a lot in itself. But there's
Mm,
hundreds of allied nations that give tribute, and
yeah,
they're willing to
so
pay an egregious amount just to be part of the world government.
Or
Like,
they're forced to.
or forced
but
to. Like even
but
even
that's the thing,
Blackbeard wants an
though, right?
affiliated island. Like,
I have a theory on that for another time. Why he wants it.
yeah, but it's just like to
He's
me,
fucking
what I love about this is it is the two sides of the coin, right? We have the one side being the world government, and then we have the other side being the straw hats in the story. Then
yep.
we have the government is craves control. It wants to snuff out pirates. It wants to control the history. It wants to control the people. It wants to control everything. And then you have the straw hats, and even technically probably the revolution, where they just pine for the freedom. So why wouldn't their wills basically bloom in the way that one is more catered to control and one is more catered to freedom?
No, it makes
So
sense.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I,
um that is
if it's
where
not
like this.
that way,
What?
sorry, if it's not that way, like if there is only one type that, like, that would be a DEFCON, RedCon, whatever you call it, bro. Like that needs to go.
Retcon.
No, I know that he'd need to go back and fix, because it makes sense. Why wouldn't wills, different wills, bloom different ways? You know,
Yeah.
it's
And that that's where I think that hockey is going to evolve, and I think that we're going to see these different versions of hockeys, and I think that they're going to be more or less based upon the person. And the reason why I say that is there are two instances in which we see hockey that can't be per se explained by one category itself. And the two examples that I will give is Shanks's Wi-Fi hockey, which I believe is a branch in the skill tree where you combine conquerors and well, you combine all three hockeys. Um, so you're able to use your observation to project where a person is, and then you're able to channel your observation or your armament by
well,
basically pushing your will out, and then your conqueror subdues them.
that
um
makes sense with the Green Bull. He was that was
exactly.
Yeah.
He was
that
the
was
only
down.
one. He was the only one. It was very channeled directly to him that reverted to their original form when hit by it.
Exactly.
So
Melted.
that's why I think observation as well as armament to push your will out, and conquerors all kind of blended together. Now, there is another instance where I think observation and armament is utilized. and it's very specific to one character that we know of so far, and it's Mihawk, because he's called the observation killer. And so what I think is he uses his observation mixed with armament to kill another person's observation and stop it from working.
Oh my god. That would put such a great bow on how, like, Broker, what you were saying, like, you don't necessarily like all this hot, because then you have, like, it's whoever can see the future the furthest will win the fights. And so then if they bring in a Haki that can kind of nullify, people's, like, how far they can see into the future or what they can see, it would like, having a defense for that is, I think, like, something that would make the most sense at this point.
Yeah, so that is what I think, just because like we've gotten that little tidbit of like Mihawk was the observation killer again, and he used that, and I think the problem was he actually developed that skill himself and is probably the originator, because when he fought Shanks was seeing so far into the future that he had to find a way to even the playing field. And so he developed the observation kill, basically, where he was able to shut down Shanks's observation, and that's why their sword matches and duels were always so close and it wasn't a blowout.
Oh, you want to know something really interesting? So hawks can perceive thermal, they can perceive different colors, and they've got 25 eyesight, so it's 5 times better than humans. And, like, not a stretch, Mihawk, Hawk, observation hockey, there's really interesting facts about their eyes. They're, like, better than 90% of animals, like, hunting for prey at distance because of the colors they can see with their eyes.
Yeah. So that is basically where I have in my mind, that is my skill tree of Haki and how it intertwines with different types. And like I said, I think the 6 powers are just like precursors to some Hakis, like armament, iron body, and outward emission and Geppo and all that other
Baby
stuff. Like I think that, and I think that the Rokwogon or whatever, that the 6 King pistol or whatever that Lucci does is just a precursor to Ryo, because it inflicts damage internally. So, like there are so many things that they do that can easily be explained through Haki.
Do you think that is it for Haki? Or do you think, or is this just based on what you know up to now? Do you think it's going to go further in depth?
I do. I think that there's going to be more, and I think that we're going to learn. I think we're going to learn that Haki can be changed. I like I said, I think that Mihawk learned how to utilize observation and armament in a way to kill observation. And I think that that was something that he probably came up with on his own through his fights with Shanks, through adversity. He was the Marine killer beforehand. Like, I think that your Haki blooming over time is exactly that, and it can bloom in magnificent ways, and you can use it almost how you would your primary colors. Sure, I only have your 3 main primary colors, but if I mix them in different ways, I get very different results. And so I think that there's ways that you can get a whole smattering of colors by mixing them in different ways. So that is,
So, to bring that to like Gabon and how he just hit Summers, whatever, however you want to say it. Do you think it was then like where would you put that on the skill tree?
So on the skill tree,
It was just like
I
Conquerors. It was a mixture of Future Sight and Conquerors.
so I think that along with the voice of all things, so this is one thing that I've been working on thinking wise. I think that there is an observation hockey that is kind of separate. But what I think it is do you remember way back when Chopper used to use brain point?
Yes.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Yes, I do too. And I think that what he's
I miss Chopper transforming full stop.
yeah.
Yeah, I Chopper needs
Which
to get some love soon. By the way.
yeah. So what I think is Chopper was basically doing what I think what Gabon is doing with observation. I think that he's using like the observation to detect the weak points in Summers, and then he's using that one weak point where like basically he can cut, and he's using Conqueror's coding in a very specific way with what I believe is the breath of all things. He's choosing to almost cut like the not the actual like outer layer of the person, but almost like I don't even know how to explain it. It's almost like he's cutting their soul.
I
It-
was about to say that, but I thought it sounded cheesy.
Yeah, it does sound. But
Yeah.
it's like the physical form, I don't think can be harmed, but I think their like metaphysical form
Yeah.
is the way to beat them, and I think you need to Conqueror's coat and hit that.
And
Almost like.
do you think
No,
they're
go ahead.
attacking their metaphysical hurts Emu? Does Emu feel that?
Oh, like a reverse of Hawkins fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be cool. I'd like that.
I don't think it hurts Emu unless they die.
Okay, so
Because
do you think it harmed Emu and Saturn died?
That's what I was, Broker. I love you. I was just about to ask that. I was just about to ask that same thing.
no, because
Or is that
okay, so
different
the
than him
way
taking his
the way I
power?
would describe it is like a hive mind. Like I've always said that Emu's the king in black, and all the symbiotes that have spawned from him.
Yeah.
Like if Emu took the symbiote back from Saturn and Saturn died as a result, that doesn't hurt Emu. But if the
someone would have
symbiote
killed
was
Saturn,
a part,
yeah, I'm with you.
exactly.
Okay,
So
so you're the same as me then. Do you think Emu got stronger when Saturn died? Because I do.
I do.
I do.
I
But
think they are spreading themselves very, very thin. Like they
I
are
agree with
separating their
you.
power into these other people, and that
It's-
because they're
it's-
separated, it's not in them. Therefore, they're going to be weaker.
Exactly.
Like I said to you,
Exactly.
NYC, months and months ago, I guarantee that we will see times where Emu can see through the eyes of the Gurusei and the Gods Knights, like even almost like possession. Like they can be there, like talk through their mouths, that sort of stuff. What was the example I gave? Oh, that was it. Yu-Gi-Oh! So when we get the Merrick scenes in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Merrick is able to talk to people through
Like
other
in
people
other people's
using the
bodies,
Millennium
yes.
Rod. I guarantee we'll see Emu do the same thing.
I use the Millennium Rod. Sorry, I had to.
So Holocaust jokes to Millennium Rod.
Wild.
Too far.
But-
Too far. No.
So So that's what I think. I think that that's why I think that every other Straw Hat, aside from probably Luffy, they're gonna be all outclassed by the Gods Knights and the Gorosei at this point. And I think that that's why I think Scopper is so necessary, because he's gonna show them how you can harm the metaphysical in that way. You know,
So,
one
if we're talking about that, then the way I think it's going to go over the next few chapters is that I think you're exactly right. We're going to see Scopper take them out. He's going to damage them so much that they have to respawn back at the little teleport thing. You know, the pentagram on the ground. I think
Yeah.
Scopper does so much damage to them that they are forced to almost like respawn. Like basically like, oh god, Scopper just killed me. I've only got X amount of lives left. That sort of stuff. I think that'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it would
I hear
definitely
you.
be reminiscent to Hawkins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why I mentioned it. It's like almost like a reverse of that, where it's like, look, okay, fine. I just died. I can't die again. I've only got X amount of lives left.
I would like to see like Emu lift up a hand, like his arm right now, and like see like a finger start to dwindle away as Gabon, like as they cut back to Gabon cutting Summers, but then like regenerate and like show that like there's some connection between the contracts that Emu
Yes,
makes and
exactly.
you know, because I just think that I wouldn't like the fact if Emu's able to make contracts and there's no repercussion or effect to it, or able to give out power with no negative side that we get like kind of instant gratification for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
it's not
it would
something that I want
definitely.
to wait to find out. Like I want to know if Emu felt what Gabon did to Summers.
No, me too.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
think that hopefully we get a little bit of that in this is next coming chapter, especially because
guys,
I expect Gabon to hook off, dude, and I think that he's gonna probably beat the brakes off of Summers, and
I hope so.
Emu better
Yeah.
be feeling something.
I
Um,
think they. So I really think they fought at God Valley the way that like Summers was like, "Scopper goodbye," like that's a screech. That screech I felt in my soul, like
That's
him from
memory.
somewhere.
That's memory of something.
Yeah,
yeah, I think they probably squared up on oh, excuse me,
guys, we got a
God
couple
Valley.
minutes left. I know today was a lot about hockey, but it is break week, so deal with us. You guys want to hit us with a quick theory? Each each of you hit us with a quick theory for the future. Quick hot take. Quick hot take. Let's do a quick hot take.
Ooh, hot
Oh,
take.
go on,
Does it
yeah,
have to be
you go
One
first.
Piece related?
No, it doesn't. It can be anything. But since we're talking One Piece first, I'll just start then. I was thinking, I think I may have sent it to you guys. What if a crocodile was at God Valley and had the tattoo like the Hancocks and cut, and it was on his hand and cut off his own hand and then kind of like welded the hook on, and then had
I'm fine with
Ivankov
that.
change uh his
Gender.
gender so that like she thought that like, oh, they're gonna come after me, and so the tattoo was on the hand. She cuts it off, has Ivankov change, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's unplausible. Well, also, I love the. I've seen like a meme where it's just like we've never actually found out if Crocodile is missing that hand. Just imagine one
That's
day he
true.
just takes it off.
And he's holding it. He's just
He's just holding it the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Just like what you thought I was in the No Hand Club.
Yeah, I like it because it's a hook. I'm a freaking pirate after all,
Or
man.
even better, it's like got like its nails done or something, and he was like, this is the only part of Vonkov couldn't
Oh
change.
no, I've got a better one. No, it's remember how Luffy gave himself a scar because pirates have scars. Imagine if little child crocodile cut off their arm because pirates have hook hands. Cut their own, just a way more hardcore version of Luffy.
Yeah.
Just mad at Luffy. Guys, we're
right,
in for a
Booker, what do you
big
got?
week next week.
I didn't do
You
my
got a
take.
quick-
I didn't do my take.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just saying, do you have a hot take?
I thought you were saying goodbye.
No.
I mean,
Hit
I have a One Piece or I have both actually.
What's the other one about?
Hunter.
Okay.
Oh, hit us. Let's do this right now. Hey guys, the next Hunter exam is in New York. Let's do it.
Okay, so my Hunter take is the show is very mid. The power system.
Oh my god! Dude, that was exactly the same as mine, but I was going to say solo leveling. That was my hot take.
Hunter is like the most mid show, and it only has like fucking. It's got like 5 hype moments, and overall, the worst part about Hunter is the fact that we had to make Yu Yu Hakusho like speed up so that way the writer could start writing a mid show instead of finishing Yu Yu Hakusho the way it should have been.
Guys, whoever flames fucking Taku for this take the hardest, I will send you his promo Luffy Pirate King TCG card.
Bro, it's just not. It's not that good.
Solo leveling is exactly the same. It's mid. Solo leveling. Yeah. I've said it before. Solo leveling is just a combined version of My Hero Academia and Sword Art Online.
Listen, solo leveling.
Same thing.
There are better S rank Hunter manhwas than solo leveling.
Yeah,
there are better ability-based manhwas than solo leveling.
Yeah, so it must be mid then.
Yeah, listen, listen, Ragnarok, the manhwa that's about his son, is way better.
Baruto.
Yeah, okay.
Listen, the problem right now, actually.
Listen, solo leveling does the hunters. And like the whole thing, even the ant arc to me was way better in solo leveling than Hunter. And
one was made. There were 17,000 frames an episode in solo leveling. You can't compare that to an anime that was made.
I'm not even talking about the animation. I'm talking about the story.
The story, yeah, that's what I'm same here.
Like
Yo, flame this man, chat. Like,
it's just not that good. It's not compelling. Gon isn't even the protagonist of his own show. Like, he's the most likable character, and yet somehow he is not even the protagonist of it. And then on top of that
show would have been better. I'll say it. That show would have been better if it was about Killua and the Zoldyck family. Yeah, no shit.
100%.
Everybody knows it. But
they're way more interesting.
Hey, at least his dad is. No. His dad isn't trying.
Yeah, no. Careful.
Stop it.
Yes, York New is the best arc. The Chimera Ant arc is amazing, but if you've read it, you know that the Dark Continent is freaking Flame Daddy. Okay, but please, somebody just flame him.
He's right.
All right, we have. What's up, Tim? Tim, we're ending. I have a Bandai event, but next week, guys, it's going to be a big week. We're going to be back to theorying on the chapter. Taku, you can find Taku at Nerdtaku on anything. You can always find him on Marvel Rivals.
Bro, it's
Broker
been
on
rough.
Discord. Hey, dude, I've been getting smoked now that like I've been trying to play. Tim, I can give you Broker's Discord. I can set you guys up. I can. I've been trying to play Human Torch because like he's meta now. He's just so weak. He's
Bro,
just so weak.
He's-
But I like that
he's-
Iron Man's
he's
like
squishy.
kind of
He's
meta.
squishy.
He's
Dude.
so squishy.
The thing with Human Torch is you really have to place your fires and then make
Yeah.
the perimeter, and then
Yep.
on top of that you have to play close enough to the ground to be able to hit like your shotgun, basically, which is basically what he hits out. But then on top of that you have to constantly be hitting the ground with his like special dive bomb technique, so that way you're constantly getting overshield. Like the other day, I had the most sweaty, bitchless like people in the lobby, and they chose Iron Man, Storm, and Human Torch, and then they had a thing, and then they had 2 healers, and it was like, if I'm getting pushed by the thing, I'm also just getting obliterated from the sky while
Yeah.
he's doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it was terrible.
Wait,
awful.
who are you playing though? This will show.
So I switched to Namor so I could take care of the flyers, but the
Yeah.
problem was it didn't
Scarlet
even
Witch.
matter
You couldn't even
because
get
Scarlet Witch was banned. I was trying to switch to her, but she was
She's so
banned,
good
so
right
I couldn't do it. She's great.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if you've seen the 2 new skins that are coming out Friday. I'm getting that Scarlet Witch one. That one looks awesome.
What is there a new? I haven't seen it. Is the new Scarlet Witch skin?
Yeah, there's one coming out Friday, and a new Adam Warlock
Nice.
skin as well.
What's the
Adam? I
what's
liked
the
playing
theme of
Adam at the
skin?
beginning.
The theme is like the almost like what was it? The Doctor Strange and Mantis skins that were like almost like old like Rising Dragon theme.
Oh, it's the Chinese New Year stuff. I know them. I've got it here now. Yeah, the Chinese New Year skins. Nice.
Yeah, the Doctor Strange
right.
one is so fire. It's so fire, but I feel like
it's cool.
The issue is, I know it's not true. I know hitboxes don't change, but mentally they fucking change when you're wearing something that big. All right, guys. Any last words? If not, we'll see you guys next week. What chapter is it? 1149. 49. Guys, we're almost at 1150, which means it's almost over.
Not even close.
Not even close, guys. All
1100 more chapters.
I'll see you guys next week. Have a good week.
All right. Much love.
Jana.
Bye.